And welcome to the first look seminar here. Georgie, we got a big mandatory pick six payout tomorrow. I think we're very excited. We got some stellar handicappers joining us. You ready to roll?
I can't wait. It's going to be exciting tomorrow. All the fans that come in, the first 2,000 fans are going to get a quick pick win on the Irish O'Brien. I love the Irish O'Brien. It's part of the pick six and that mandatory payout. The pool, Gino, I heard, is going to exceed $4 million.
Yeah, and it's a great spot on the calendar for this mandatory payout because I think this week there isn't really any track that has like a huge weekend going on. And then every week kind of moving forward, we start to have those final Kentucky Derby preps at a lot of different tracks. So this is a great weekend for Santa Anita to kind of steal some of the spotlight with that mandatory payout because, every weekend moving forward, there might be a focus on whichever track has that big stakes day. And this week, I think Laurel has a couple stakes. There might be a few at Oaklawn, but nothing too crazy. Great opportunity. And there are some good races built into this sequence.
Yeah, it starts in race 4, and we're going to go through in just a second here, Skipper. But other than one race, which I think we have some opinions against, there doesn't look to be any it looks like, we say this quite a bit, but it looks like a pick six that could really pay tomorrow, Skip.
I thought so. Even Becca Taylor, the heavy favorite in the Irish O'Brien, I wasn't sold on that horse. I'm going to use it, but I'm not going to single. I coming down the hill, and I know it's won on the grass before, and that 6 for 6, but I'm going to take a little bit of a stand, I think, in there. I like a couple other horses earlier in the card and earlier in the races.
Well, I think that's what I was alluding to. I know with George and I, we talked before. I think we're taking a stand in there as well. So we will get there. It'll be interesting to see what Gino thinks about that. But let's get it started. We've got 6 races to cover and plenty of horses to go over. So we start in race 4, a maiden special weight statebreds. And Skipper, why don't you get us rolling here in a race to me that looks wide open? I think you've got some strong opinions here.
I do. I have a very strong opinion in here. And it's a crazy, it's a Neil Drysdale horse, the 2, Current Mood at 8-1. I've been watching this horse work on XBTV, and I love the way this filly's working. I wrote in my notes, this filly could run, love the way she's training. She's beating company. They put her on the lead in one work, and she fought off a horse that was coming, and she dug in and just has a nice turfy stride on her, and she beat that horse. And then the last I think it was a May 2nd work. She came from off the pace this day, a couple lengths behind, and could have motored right by the other horse that she was working with, but they geared her down. And on the gallop out, she went by. I know that Drysdale's not known for winning first time out. I mean, he wins at 10%, but I really like this horse. Drayden Van Dyke's on it. It's by Flint Shar. It's out of a City Zip, which loved the grass and loved to win early. Mayor and Richard Barton, they bred the horse and they own the horse. So I'm telling you, on one of my tickets, I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to single this too because I love the way this horse is working. I know the 5, Rosie's Forecast, ran a really nice race, first out for Ben Cecil. The winner of that race came back and won again. So that was a key race. And then the other one, I thought had a shot was Kitten's Kid. Going from a mile, shortening back up to 6 furlongs. Pratt's on it. I think this horse will come running. One of the other long shots I kind of liked is Edward Freeman's horse. He does a great job. Square Eddie, out of a Gypsy Friday In Excess mare. They love the grass. And look at his numbers. 180 plus days, one's at 33%. First turf, 43%. Turf sprints, 44%. All the numbers are there. And then the only other one that I thought maybe had a shot was the outside, the 11 horse Beautiful Temple for Shelby Ruiz. This horse comes out of a key race, Bowl of Cherries, Ron Ellis filly, came back and won again. And that was first start off a layoff. I think that horse will improve too. But with what I saw with the workouts, I'm going to really take a stand. On one ticket, I'm going to single the 2. On another ticket, I'm going to use the other horses that I mentioned.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Gino, before we get to you. And people could go back and look on XBTV. That last work on March 16th, the 2 and the 8 Sugar Apple actually work together, and Sugar Apple shows some talent as well. So
yeah.
Look for yourself on that and go back and watch that work. They're both on XDTV. That's the great thing about it, is visually everybody can get an idea. And I thought they both had talent, and Neil Drysdale's been coming alive lately. And just another one before we get to you guys. If the 13 draws in, don't overlook that horse. That horse had a bad trip from the rail last time out, and could be live for, as Georgie calls, the Lord of the Lawn, Phil D'Amato. But Gino, what are your thoughts? I was all over the place in this race.
Yeah,
Gino?
I got a few different ones. You mentioned Sugar Apple too, that damn one on the turf, and we only had one sibling try the turf one time, and so you don't really know a whole lot. I think there's a little more to that horse than maybe meets the eye. I'd like the 3 a little bit, Funny Feline. Guys, I think Funny Feline will be very excited to get away from Increased Stakes, who this horse has been in 3 consecutive races where Increased Stakes was in those races in the debut behind Rose Dawson. Ooh, the Titanic horse, right? Rose Dawson.
And the king of the world, Gino.
Yeah, exactly. Always got to. So Funny Feline, I liked, and I played this filly last time out. She had post 10. She was on the outside, and she broke right on top of the field.
She could have cleared.
And she just didn't clear for some reason. And they decided, and they sat 3 wide all the way around. And I watched this back 3 or 4 times over the last couple of days prepping for the weekend stuff. And every time I'm just like, go on with it, right when
he fought her. He fought her. I wrote she could have cleared on my notes. I think without a question.
And that to me it's hard. That trip doesn't really work on the turf ever. On the dirt, you can sometimes sit a little bit wide like that and you can still win. But on the grass, when you give up ground like that, it's really, really hard. Now Johnny V jumps aboard. And those races have all come back very, very live. Funny Feline, I think, is going to get played a little bit just with the Velasquez factor in here. And with that type of speed, she's sort of hard for me to dismiss and leave off of the tickets, because if she is asked and she has that speed and she does clear off, I think she'll have a much better opportunity to win. Once she was sitting like that, about 10 seconds into the race, you sort of knew you had no chance once they decided to kind of not sit. So I think she's definitely a playback at a nice enough price. But yeah, I think there are a few others. You mentioned the 5 Rosy Forecast. Skip also talked the 11 Beautiful Temple. That's probably my top tier of horses, with a few others on some press tickets. But Funny Feline is one that will be on everything for me.
Yeah, like you said, that was not an odd race, because I think she broke, like you said, she broke the gate and could have absolutely cleared. And he fought her a little bit, and then she ended up dueling 3 wide, which set it up for actually Rosy Forecast, who was in that same race. But Georgie, your thoughts here on which I think Gino and I are all over the board here.
I'm concentrating on 2 runners really, but I guess I could throw in a third runner, because I think that this field is full of speed. There are speed types all over the place. On the rail, you got a really cheap Los Al speed horse who's going to get out there. Funny Feline's probably going to show speed. Robase is going to show speed. I mean, it's just filled with speed after speed. Beautiful Temple. And I think it's going to set it up for a runner like Kitten's Kid or Busker Alley, if Busker Alley happens to get in. They're both cutting back from a mile. They're both should be sitting, especially the 7, who we know is probably going to be in the body of the race. Kitten's Kid should sit an absolute perfect trip. And who could take advantage of a perfect trip better than my man, Mr. Pratt, before he leaves town? I think Kitten's Kid was ridden 3 times on the grass by Pratt previously. All 3 were second. Talk about a runner who was knocking on the door. Unfortunate to still be a maiden. And I think Kitten's Kid has got a humongous chance in this race. Another one that I don't think you should ignore is, you mentioned it as well, the Eddie Freeman horse. That race, I don't think was indicative of the talent that Summer Pudding has. I think Summer Pudding's going to love getting onto the turf. Those red square eddies absolutely love the turf. And I expect a much improved effort from Summer Pudding. But Kitten's Kid is to me, the one that should sit a perfect trip. And I'd be scared if Busker Alley gets in.
All right, so basically after leg 1,
everybody's
going to single the 2 on a ticket.
Yeah.
George is going to single the 7 on a ticket. Gino and I are 12 deep. So
exactly.
Let's move on to leg number 2, which is optional claiming going a mile on the main track. Gino, why don't you lead us off here in the 5th?
Yeah, George was talking about a lot of speed in race number 4. Wow, in this race on paper, at least there looks like there's a ton of speed. Initially, right off the bat, you have to think 4 left wants to be forwardly placed, stretching back out from sprints. The only times this horse has gone long, they've been right on the engine. So I'd imagine they want to be close up. Noble Reflection, stretching out from sprints. They've got to go. That's their one way, is just showing speed. This horse is not in the best of form, but I think they're going to want to get even more aggressive because of that. Mongolian Wind can press a little bit, but they don't want to be too far out of it at all. What about Disco Ball? Extremely quick. Now, I sort of like Disco Ball because I think if anyone could, he actually can sit a little bit. He's shown that he might be able to, and he's kind of drawn towards the outside. So maybe he can sit, but you get to the outside too, holding the loop. That's a lot of speed. And even a horse like Affable, instead of getting hooked wide, would it be a surprise to see Pratt get aggressive to try to get this horse out of trouble? And that speeds everything up if he goes a little quicker than they need be. I'm looking for horses that I think can sit trips in here. The 2 to me that kind of jump out are the 1 and the 7. Phantom Dance, who I think should be able to save a lot of ground from the inside. Let's just put a line through that last race. Who's behind Cezanne? I mean, that's in just a much tougher spot. Cezanne's really, really good when on the A game. The horse just got outrun. 2 starts back. Again, it's a little bit too far back, but that was in the slop. So finishing 3rd behind a next out winner, but you're beaten 9 lengths. I'm not all that concerned about being beaten that much in a sloppy race. The race 3 back at Oaklawn Park, what's wrong with that effort? Against the first that really good allowance, anything like that would really stack up going a mile. How about the race right before it? The first level allowance at Del Mar behind the next out winner there. That race would be really good. And that kind of trip, sitting 3 or 4 lengths off, waiting behind the speed, and then boom, early move. It's exactly what Phantom Dance did in a couple of those races. And then Divine Armor. This horse kind of reminds me of that horse Beachgrass that I talked about last week on the radio with you guys. Not a win machine, but a horse that in small fields, Divine Armor is not going to win a lot of races in small fields in SoCal on the dirt because of the running style. He's just a little bit up against it because he's got to drop back. In a race like this, he may actually benefit from all the other speed in here. This might be one of the few spots where you give him a legit shot. So I don't look at him as, just 1 for 13 with 4 seconds and 5/3 necessarily as Addis is a horse that doesn't want to win or doesn't really have a lot of heart. To me, it's just more of his running style. He's going to finish 2nd and 3rd a lot because of that. This feels like a great spot for him. I probably talked for about 2 hours, but I'll go 1-7 in here. No problem.
All right. So 1-7. What are you thinking here, Georgie?
Well, all my picks are available at santanita.com with Santa Anita Hoy in Spanish and English. Sábado Domingo.
Sábado Domingo.
And my top pick is definitely number 1, Phantom Dance. Phantom Dance is Divine Armor is just 1 for 14, not a win type, and we're looking at win types for the pick 6. It doesn't, obviously I think you could use Divine Armor if you're betting trifectas and superfectas and so forth. But since we're concentrating on win candidates, I think Phantom Dance has got a huge say in the matter here on the win end. Has won 3 times, knows how to get in the winner's circle. I think that the race shape sets up perfectly for Phantom Dance. And you look at the last couple of races, I thought excuses in both races. The race back at Oaklawn 2 back was in the slop. So, I kind of feel like maybe he just didn't like the goings there in the slop. And that was a very, very tough race at Oaklawn Park. Last race was the San Carlos. Look who was in there. Cezanne, who was a work of art. Carlo, Canadian Pride, just way overmatched. You take those 2 races out, and this one's thoroughgraph numbers are stellar compared to the rest of the field here. The Oaklawn Park race against Luck of the Draw was great. The RM race, boy, ran a 3 on the sheets. If this one runs a 3 today, wins for fun. So I like that one a lot. One of my favorite songs is by Boy Pablo. I don't know if you know that song, but it's 50 Souls and a Disco Ball. I love that song. And so I think of the speed types, Disco Ball is actually getting better and better. That last race actually was a victory. So, even though it's 1 for 8, I think it's 2 for 8. The second place was like 2 to 5 that day. That's a big horse that Disco Ball really held off. I didn't think it was
that was it. Shared an iffy DQ too.
iffy DQ, man. That was an iffy DQ.
Yeah.
So, I think of the speed types, Disco Ball is good, but I really like Phantom Dance.
All right, Skipper, what are your thoughts here?
Okay, I like a couple in here. Phantom Dance obviously will be on the ticket. That's my top play because of the reasons why Giorgio and Gino were saying. I love the inside draw. Last race was kind of a weird spot for that horse to go in, the Grade 2 San Carlos. First of all, the horse doesn't usually sprint. It wants to go a route of ground. I just thought that was a weird spot for that horse, but stretch him back out. The one will probably be my top play, but I do have a long shot in here. It's the 2 horse, Zimba Warrior. Yep. With all the speed that we've been talking about in here, this horse will come running. That last race was not bad. It stumbled. It was 6 deep. It looked like it was going to come and go by these horses or the horses in that race, but it kind of flattened out. But I like Mike Smith getting aboard. He won 2 races today. He's heating up. He's Money Mike. This horse will come running, and at 15-1 will be on my ticket. Divine Armor, like Gina was saying, that last race was very strange. That was a weird ride to me. On the turn, it almost looked like this horse was going to get eased. Hernandez had a hold of it. I'm like, well, what's he doing? Is he going to ease? And then here comes Soy Tapio on the outside and comes running, and this horse was inside of it and came running right with it. At 8-1, I'm going to use that with the way that this race sets up. I'm also going to put Disco Ball in there too because it's won 2 in a row, and that was a terrible DQ last time. Wow, that cost me a lot of money. Which one I was going to use, but I'm not, is the 9, Affable. I've always been a big fan of this horse. But coming off the layoff, and then I started looking at the workout pattern. January 21st, January 29th, February 6th, February 13th. Perfect. Then all of a sudden, no workouts till March 3rd. That gap in the work, I just didn't like it. I know it came back with 2 quick works, 47-2 and 59 flat out of the gate, handily. I just don't like that, missing that work. So I'm going to leave Affable off my ticket. I'm going to go 1, 2, 6, 7 in there.
Well, I'll make 2 quick comments and we'll get on to the next race so we won't talk too long. My top pick as well is the one everybody else. This horse, like Santa Anita, likes to win and should get a nice setup. The outside horse is the one that I don't know what to do with yet because, like Gino said, the outside post going a mile is tough. This horse has talent, and if you go watch on XBTV, the work on March 12th, they worked this horse with Dr. Scheibel, who is now in Dubai, and Dr. Scheibel ran on by, but that's some pretty stiff company, so I think this horse is doing well. But that post, especially with this horse, they paid $600,000 for this. This horse is supposed to be a good one. Obviously, something happened last time. But what do they do from that outside post, especially with a fresh horse, with a lot of speed in the race? So we shall move on. I think we all say it's either the 1 or some spreading in there. So, all right, Georgie, kick us off in the 3rd leg, a mile on the turf. What do you think here in race 6?
All right, the late pick 4 starts here. They're going a mile, and I love a runner here that has made me money in the past, and I always feel good when I feel confident. Number 8, Sinte Winte has, I was aboard that one when she was 13-1. I picked her on top of San Diego, and I bet her, and she delivered. And she always seems to do well. And Patty Gallagher and Rispoli, they do very well together. The last couple of years, they've been like around 27% or something like that. And Sinte Winte might have needed that last race. I think she's going to run a much better race. Has some strong races in the past. And I'm definitely using Sinte Winte, but there's a lot of them in here. This is one of the tougher races in the card, but Sinte Winte is definitely going to be on my ticket. Is kind of versatile, can go stay close or close from out of it. And to me, she's a winner. And like you guys here on the show are winners as well. I'm going to stick with Sinte Winte as one of my keys in race number 6.
The odd thing about Sinte Winte, if you go back and watch that race, I'm sure you guys did last time, on the turn, Sinte Winte was loaded. It had nowhere to go. It was block. And maybe needing the race. When he finally swung out, which took a long time, he had no punch left in the lane. And I think it was probably just him sitting there waiting. But that was an interesting ride. He probably needed the race. Two other ones that I'm going to mention, we'll move on. The Three Roses Crystal, there's this time looks like there's plenty of speed for Roses Crystal to come flying late. This horse isn't the biggest win machine, but always runs her race. And then the 7, Agree to Disagree. It was the most baffling race the last time that they sent this horse to the lead and dueled going 22 and 46. And I remember texting somebody saying, "What are they doing?" I can't repeat what he told me, but it was why this horse didn't sit back, which I guarantee it probably will tomorrow. Baffling dueling on the lead, Skipper.
God, Chappie, we're thinking just alike because I got to read you my notes. First of all, the 8, I wrote looked loaded at the top of the stretch, then had no punch. Wasn't urged at all after that. Maybe it needed the race. Obviously, I watched that last work on March 6th. It came back to work good. It was on the dirt. When turf horses work on the dirt, they don't look real pretty because they got that high action and stuff. But I like the 8. And it's funny, Agree to Disagree. Broke a tad slow, then rushed to the lead. Question mark, on my notes. They're definitely taking hold of that horse today, I would think. It looks like there's not a lot of speed, but there is speed. The 1's got a little speed. The 4's definitely got speed, and so does the 5 stretching out. I'm going to put the 1 on my ticket because the 1 broke from the outside in the same race as, Agree to Disagree. It was pressuring that horse. Breaking from the inside this time, I think maybe Hernandez will just maybe take hold and let the 4 and 5 go and sit like in that little pocket trip. I'm definitely going to use the 1 at 10 to 1. I'm also going to use the 6, Freedom Lass. This horse has come running the last couple times. It's stretching back out now. Bill Sparr's having a great meet. So I'm going to go 1, 6, 7, 8 on my ticket.
Gino, another race that seems to be a tad baffling to everybody. What are your thoughts?
Most of the horses that have been mentioned, I want to give a shout out to Umberto Rispoli. I did an interview with him the other day. I've never spoken with him before, and we did an interview that's going to be released on Monday. It's going to come out this week. He is so cool. I mean, the most candid. He will answer any question. Doesn't sugarcoat it. We talked about why he's going to leave. We talked about everything that happened with Rock Your World getting taken off, the Derby mount there. We talked a story about how when he was young and he had to move away from his family when he was really young and go ride in a different country and live with people that he didn't know and ride for them. And one of the trainers that he was riding for was chasing him around through the jocks room trying to fight him after a bad ride one time. And then the next day he was he scammed him. He set a whole thing up so that way he would come in the room, and he locked him in the room and he said, "I got you now." And he was laughing. He said, "But that guy is the whole reason why I'm here today. He helped me and he changed." So, I mean, it was so cool. He doesn't hold anything back. He talks about everything. And how often do we get to hear from a rider like that? Yeah. If you do, it's usually, "What do you think about this horse?" Or "What was that ride like?" Never that kind of stuff, and about his family. And it was awesome. So now, unfortunately, now I like him so much, I'm going to end up throwing him in on all my tickets. Now that's the problem, is that every time I'm going to, because he's really smart. You can tell he's super prepared. He handicaps. He does all the prep work and stuff. So I do think Cinta we all mentioned that. Looked loaded, nothing. Off the bench, I'm fine with that. I'll give this horse one more shot. The 3, Roses Crystal. You mentioned Chappie. Didn't you interview Carla Gaines about this horse on the Santa Anita feed too? You can find that little interview if you want to get some more info about Roses Crystal.
I did.
The only one that maybe I might throw in a ticket that nobody mentioned was Jimmy Smoked Carrot. I think if you toss the mile in an 8th race, you toss the race in September off the bench, you're left with a couple pretty good efforts all in a row at the mile. And this is a horse who can sit a nice trip. Valdivia doesn't have an incredible winning percentage, but when it comes to races on the grass like this going long, that's sort of what you think of Valdivia as, bread and butter. So maybe the 2 is another in a spread out race. Not the strongest opinion in the world.
All right. So so far we don't have any strong opinions. I mean, maybe in the second leg we might be singling. I was in the second leg the one horse there, but it seems like a fairly tough sequence for anything that happened so far. So, all right, we move on to the seventh race. I'm going to start out here with this race. There's a couple of them that I'm kind of leaning towards. The first one I'll talk about, another post I don't love, but is the 9 Dance Samo with Flavian Pratt up. You know, coming in from Woodbine, I did watch this horse work once again on XTV and worked heads up, if not better, with a horse named Desert Dawn, who's very talented. Ran in the Grade 1 Starlet last year, ran in the Grade 3 Santa Isabel, and was third in a race which Ida won and Under the Stars ran second. I think this horse has a lot of talent. And Uncle Mo, obviously with Pratt on, this horse is going to get bet, but I don't think this is the biggest bunch of world beaters. So I think if this horse runs his race, he's going to be tough to beat. Another horse that I'm looking at, it's a horse off the bench that if you go through the running lines, which is number 3, Parnelli, John Sheriff's starting to win some races. This horse hasn't ran since last year. This horse is working very, very well. Worked back with a horse named Red Flag a few works back. This is on February 10th and didn't switch leads. Then on February 24th, worked alone, but worked very well. Go back through and look who this horse has ran against. Subconscious, Flightline, Rock Your World, Medina Spirit, Fieldward, Hot Rod Charlie, Superman Shack. Any one of those horses would be 1 to 5 against this group. And I think this horse is always meant to be good. You don't see John Sheriffs, who's very, very conservative, win a maiden race and then go into the sham, the Bob Lewis, and the Standing Derby without obviously thinking this horse has a lot of talent. So there might be other ways to go, but I'm leaning towards those two. Somewhere you've got to narrow it down. Those are the two I'm looking at, Gino.
Yeah, I've got a couple in here. I mean, Georgie, we had Disco Ball earlier. We got Motown Music here. Is this like a trip through the years for you for your lifetime and all the different stadiums? Right? You got to show. You got to come out in the one race in the disco, and then the next race in the Motown. And I think this horse has a legit shot in here. You're going to go now third start off the long layoff, right? So this horse should be set, I think, for the absolute best. They were off from April of 2021 to February of 2022. Came back in February, 5th behind who? Disco Ball. In that Disco Ball Shaz race. And in a race where they absolutely needed, just kind of got outrun, and that was going 7. That was like a total prep race. Then on February the 18th, next time out, this was a pretty good effort, kind of settled towards the inside. And I think it was sneaky, kind of had to back up a little bit, started to move inside, but got beat to a spot. So it wasn't this obvious smack you over the face trouble, but it was not a smooth journey for Motown Music, who now adds the booth and who's going to go third start off the bench. Has a little versatility too. This is a horse who can pass some horses, but also has a little positional speed there. Tyler Bay's quietly been starting to pick up a lot more wins over the last few weeks. So I'm going to use the 7 Motown Music in a lot of spots. I'm also going to use the 4 Prince Major in some spots. This is an interesting horse who's going to cut back, who's going to return to the dirt. Of course, last time out went a mile and an 8th on the turf. 2 starts back at Turfway Park, was second behind a horse named Beatbox. That horse has won 4 in a row and just won a $100,000 stakes race at Turfway Park. And the Turfway races over the last couple of years, they've become really strong. They're deep, they're bigger fields. Those horses that exit those races actually do really well all over the place. So I thought the 4 at a price, a little speed, but can also sit. So 4 and 7 will definitely be on my tickets, along with some others like the 9 Dansamo will be on there too. I think that's the horse to beat. Just toss the 1 1/4 races. But again, another really difficult race where I feel like I'm going to have to use at least 2 or 3.
Georgie, what are your thoughts? I thought Gino was going to start dancing or break dancing or singing. He's got Motown Music. He's all over the charts today. But what are your thoughts here?
I thought it was a race where a number of runners had chances. And, I'll let you know who I like and some of my concerns. For instance, I like Backring Luck, number 1. I think he's got a big chance, drawn nicely on the inside. When I was a jock agent back in the day, like 7-8 years ago, and Liberato had a horse. They said, "Hey, Liberato has a horse that your jock could ride." I'd be like, "No, I don't want to ride a horse for Barasio. I can't win. And I couldn't be choosy because I had some bad jockeys. I didn't want to ride for him. But man, have times changed. He is winning left and right. He's become a really a winning trainer." And so my hat's off to him. Congratulations. He's doing well. He claimed this one off of Ruby Thomas at Golden Gate. And this one is a win machine. I mean, just loves to win races. Has won, I think, 5 out of the last 6. So back ring luck. You got to leave him off your own barrel, especially as well as Barasio is training of late. Another one that I thought had a big chance was There Goes Harvard. And, Rispoli, who I think Gino interviewed him. That same day, Gino interviewed a hot walker, a groom, and the guy who makes sulkies. Because then he was doing, he does Woodbine, he does this track, he does cockroach races, March Madness. He's the ubiquitous Gino Ricola. Man, that's no other word for him. He's ubiquitous. Everywhere you go, there he is.
If you're going to pay me for it, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
I know you will.
I'm a gun for hire, man. You just call me over.
Whatever you need. 87 6 shooters. He's ready to go.
Whatever you need.
There Goes Harvard's got some excellent thoroughgraph numbers. Invades here. Gets Rispoli. Prince Mayer. I tell you what, love the thoroughgraph numbers, but they were earned at Turfway Park and Mountaineer. And I don't know if those thoroughgraph numbers translate well to a big track like Santa Anita. So I'm a little dubious of Prince Major, but on thoroughgraph numbers, he's got the best thoroughgraph numbers in the field, which is really weird. But another thing about Prince Mayer is, Paula Capestro's are really nice, but it's not a win machine. Paula is. So I got some reservations about that one. Motown Music looks good. It's a tough race.
All right. So by the way, right after this show, we've had a couple programming changes. Flipping Houses with Gino will be on, and then immediately after that, Cooking with Gino. He's going to make Italian. It's Italian night with Gino. So stay tuned for that.
You name it. I got it. We got commercials. We'll put some ads in there. I'll make a few bucks.
And then
he changes diapers. He changes diapers. He does it all.
I just go real quick wardrobe change. I put on a little like a disguise. I can be different people. You name whatever you need.
Gino and Giada in Tuscany will be on at midnight. So they'll be cooking. All right, Skipper, what are your thoughts here? We seem to be all over the place.
I'm going to take a stand here. I know there's a couple win machines. Back Bring Luck is won 6 or 7 out of 16. Loudmouth is won 8 out of 33. But I'm telling you, I like Dance Some Mo. And the race that I like, you might think, oh, this horse doesn't like the dirt or whatever, because on the form, the only dirt race was back in February of last year, and it ran terrible. They gelded the horse after that race. And ever since then, I don't know if it was the gelding or the turf or the synthetic, whatever it is, but this horse has run really good. But the race that really stood out to me, I watched the replay of July 16th, mile and eighth at Woodbine. This horse broke slow, kind of rushed up in between horses, was a little rank, finally settled down. They got it to the outside, drew off at the top of the stretch by 2. Patrick Husbands, I don't know if it was a prep race or they were just trying to get it ready for the Queen's Plate, but he just was sitting there under a hold with this horse. He wasn't even seeing the horse that was 4 to 5 that dove up on the inside and ended up beating it by a nose. Once this horse saw that horse, the only time that it was not in front in the stretch was right at the wire. Right after the wire, when he saw that horse, this horse went right back in front and galloped out nicely. In the Queen's Plate, this horse broke 10 out of 13, broke slow, was wide, throw that race out. They obviously have, they think this horse could run, and I do too. I love that work on the 28 that they showed on XBTV. It showed a lot of heart. It shows that it's ready to come off the bench, and he's ready to fire. I don't like the post position draw, the 9, but Pratt's on it. I think this horse could break good, kind of tuck in behind those speedsters and get a good trip. I'm singling the 9. I like the 9 a lot.
I will do 2 tickets, and that will be one of my singles as well. And like we said, if you think if you're not sure about the dirt, just go to XBTV and watch the workouts. And
don't let that be the reason why you don't like this horse. If that's
correct.
the reason. Right?
Visually very impressive working here on the dirt. So, all right, now we get to the interesting race. Yeah. We've got a horse who's 6 for 6, 4 to 5 on the morning line, and Flavian Pratt happens to be riding. So, Georgie, we're going to start with you here because I'm assuming that, let's say 90% of the betting public will probably single this horse. But I'll be curious to see what our thoughts here, and I'll start with you, Mr. Ortuzar.
Well, I tell you what, my chances on the morning line of losing the pick 6 are 4 to 5 because I am not using Becca Taylor on any of my tickets. And if Becca Taylor wins, my hat's off to her. She remains undefeated, but I am not using her. She's not even in my top 3. I mean, I just don't like Becca Taylor. I didn't visually like the way she won last time. The races came back okay, but nothing stellar. And this is a race course that everybody knows is a very tricky course. Some people love 6.5 furlongs. Some people hate going down the hill, some runners. And I'm hoping that Becca Taylor hates it because I'm not using her anywhere. I'm going with the ones that have shown ability. And my top pick is going to be number 5, Sensible Cat. Sensible Cat has got JJ Hernandez licking his chops. Can't wait for these guys to get out of town. He's going to be the dominant jockey here, and he's already showing it. He's winning every day, a couple of races. He certainly knows how to handle a runner. And this runner, last 2 races were by far her best races, and both of them were going down the hill. She's got a win, a tough win against a comeback winner. She showed true grit in a 3-way photo, winning that race despite being wide. The race before against Thrilling, who got out there easy, was a great second place effort. Beating Spirit of Bermuda. I think Sensible Cat, 3rd time off a layoff, is often a runner's best. I love Sensible Cat. Carla Gaines, a stellar trainer. JJ Hernandez, a stellar jockey. And I think Sensible Cat, to me, is the most probable winner of the race. I also mentioned that I love the Square Eddies that are owned and bred by Redham, and I think Eddie's New Dream has got a big chance. Legs Galore is a speed demon. I mean, that, there's no way he was catching Legs Galore that day. And Alice Marble is just pure class. So you got 2 comeback winners in front of her. She ran great to be 3rd, I thought. She's got nothing but upside to me. And again, I love those Square Eddies. And then Pulpit Rider, another one that likes to win races. On the turf has won a lot of races. 6.5 down the hill has not been her forte, but she is also a 12 to 1 I'm going to be throwing in. But my key to this is I am not using Becca Taylor. If she beats me, I'll be like this FOH hat. I'll be that filly will get me out of here. But I'm not using her.
Gino?
Yeah, I mean, Becca Taylor, Georgie, she's won on the Los Al Dirt, the Santa Anita Turf, the Santa Anita Dirt, the Golden Gate Synthetic, and I'm not using her either on the turf down the hill. So I agree with you. I think she's super quality, right? She's really nice. She's done everything that they've asked, but she's drawn down towards the inside, which down the hill is not great. And while she's won at 6.5 on the dirt, this course plays a lot more like a mile, or plays like even longer than 6.5. And that's my major concern with her. I think the real key to the race, maybe not from a horse if they can win the race, but the one, maybe I will. Will this horse be able to at least get out, press, go quickly early, and make Becca Taylor have to work? Because if Becca Taylor does clear this field, then she might be tough. If the rail and inside draw ends up not really being a hindrance for her. But I'm looking towards the outside. 2 horses, one of them which Georgie mentioned. I liked Eddie's New Dream a lot last time out. And I don't think that was a bad effort at all, honestly. Legs Galore, who was the winner that day, came back to win the Grade 2 Buena Vista next out. Second place finisher, Alice Marble, came back to win a stakes race after that. So that race has come back really live. But the other horse that I like that might be a little bit more of a price is the 7. She's Devoted. She's Devoted has never been able to put 3 races together in her life before. she's obviously had some issues, right? She's a 5-year-old mare. She's only raced 6 times, and every time she races, she has to go to the bench for a few months. Her pattern was sort of strange, right? She was raced in January to November, January to November to January. That was her pattern, back and forth and back and forth. And she had a ton of time off a few different times. But the January 15th race, 2 starts back, she didn't have the best of trips. She was also in that legs galore race that we were talking about down the hill. And then after that February 12th race, which was against Open Company, and now she's back in with Calbreds. That race was awesome. That she was going a mile. She was a step slow. She stumbled, and then she just rushed up to battle for the lead, and she battled all the way around. She was in between, sort of, and kind of the length of the stretch. They battled. It looked like a couple were going to go.
Kind of losing you, Gino. Can you guys hear him? Okay.
Oh, I can.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like a few were going to go by, and just got nailed by a horse flying in between. I mean, she put away a couple top of the lane. You're thinking she's done, and she digs in and fights off 2 horses from the outside. She fights off the horse to the inside that she battled with, and one horse kind of sneaks in like 2 from the inside and in between and pings her like right on the rail. It was just a brutal beat. Now she cuts back. She finally goes 3rd start off the bench. She's had plenty of time to recover from that tough effort, which was a little over a month ago. She's kind of versatile. She showed a little more positional speed, but she can sit. I think she's got a really big shot in here too. I'm going to use combinations of the 6 and 7 in the pick 6 here. This will be sort of one of my focus races where I can shorten up with those 2.
Okay, go ahead, Skipper. I'll go after you. Gino was cutting out on me, so I might repeat some of the things he said. But go ahead, Skipper.
Okay, Gino, I'm with you with the 7. I like this horse a lot. It's 8-1. I love the post position draw, and I saw exactly what you saw with that replay in that last race. You know, this horse never gave up. It was digging. It was very, very game. And the other horse came up the inside and got it at the wire. I love this horse. It's got the tactical speed. It's finally put, 2-3 races now. It came back to breeze, 3 times after that race.
Yep.
Bravo's going to be sitting in a great spot out there because I think the 1 and the 2 are probably going to go to the lead, and I think this horse is going to be sitting right off of them. 7 is my top play. I got to use Eddie's New Dream too, coming out of those good races. The thing that scares me with Eddie's New Dream, I always look at the workout patterns, and I hate when they skip works. I like to just know the horse is doing good. It came back to breeze every, 5, 6, 7 days. And from February 16th to March 9th, that at least missed 1 work in there. Maybe it won't make a difference, but it just scares me a little bit. I'm going to use the 5 also. This horse is sharp, obviously loves coming down the hill. And the 3, I have to put the 3 on the ticket. Going back at Del Mar, that's when Norma Jean for Vladimir Serin was just – she was on fire. Queen of Goddess ran 3rd in that race, came back and won the American Oaks on the dirt, but that was a very, very good race. I like the horse shortening up. I don't know if there's enough speed for this horse to come and get him, but look at the company she's been keeping. Maxim Rate, Legs Galore, Going to Vegas, Warren Showtime. This horse has got some class. It likes to win. It's won 7 out of 32 races. And, at 12-1, I got to use it. I got to put it on the ticket. Becca Taylor, I don't know if I'm going to use it. I think I might throw it in on 1 ticket, but I'm against. I like the 7 the best in here.
All right. So all 3 of you guys are.
Before we get to you, Chappie, I can't wait to hear your thoughts because you got the word right from Carla Gaines's mouth. So I can't wait to hear. You interviewed Carla Gaines. Must have talked about Sensible Cat. I didn't see the interview, but you told me you were going to interview her. So I'm all ears, brother.
Well, I purposely did because, like you guys, once again, you guys are all 3 against Becca Taylor. I got to admit, so am I. So I'm looking at the outside 3 horses, 5, 6, 7, and punch play with the name Cat in. Anyways, my top pick is I would go 5, 7, 6 in that order. Sensible Cat is my top pick, and I just asked Carla, and she said the horse is doing terrific. if you watch those replays, like George said, this horse obviously likes the hill. This horse sticks his neck out. She wants to win races. I just like going back to watch those last two races. I'm not saying anything new. You guys are here. Carla was high on the horse. We're high on the horse. She's devoted. You got to love the replay. Last time the horse dueled too wide the entire way around, going 22.46. So the cutback should be great. So I'm with you guys too. I'm 5.76. We're all against the horse that's going to be the most logical single on the day. So we'll see what happens. Feast or famine between this four. But I like that we're all taking stands against what would appear to most people to be the most logical single. So one race to go. Gino, I just got to say that I will forever be indebted to Fly to the Sky, who won the last race, who many horses come out of this race, and many horses had horrible trips. So I'll be interested to see what we'll start off with you here in another race that looks like kind of a puzzler.
Yeah, probably lean towards the outside with the 11 and the 12. Like Frontier Market looks like a horse who's really set up for this, right? Frontier Market didn't race for almost 2 years. And this is a horse who actually, from a class perspective, was not overmatched, facing some really was behind River Point and not all that far behind. So didn't race from March of 2020 to February of 2022. Came back in a race that had to be an obvious prep, right? Going 6 furlongs in the race, and the horse ran pretty well. Kind of, it's sort of what you would expect, showing a little bit more late interest. That was February the 11th. Now you got about 5-6 weeks or so in between races. So Frontier Market, I think, should take a massive step forward off of that effort. Towards the outside, the 12, Keystone Field, kind of had that in-between trip last time out. Another one that you mentioned from that race that you can look at a few that had tough trips out of there. Third off the bench, super logical one there. The 9's another one that's a little bit of a price. I feel like when I say this horse, I should say it like liberal, in that voice, when you're saying it like that. But this horse was a bit unlucky as of late. Has just kind of run into some trouble over and over. Now you wonder with horses like that, when do you sort of get to the point where is that on them, right? Do they kind of run up into bad spots? But at least with the horse like this, you'll get a pretty nice price for that. And it's not as if he's far behind some of the top tier contenders in here. So I'll probably start with those and kind of see the the way the rest of my ticket shapes out. I can make cases for a couple more, but those would be the ones that I'm at least going to start with and probably on most of my tickets.
Georgie, I know we talked about some trouble. I know you have 2 horses coming out of that race that were on your horses to watch list out of that race that was just a nightmare for some of them.
Yeah, I'm going to concentrate on the 2 that I have on my watch list. And when they both came up in the same race, I was a little disappointed. Obviously, you're hoping that they'll be in different races so you could wager on them. But the 2 horses that were on my watch list were 9 Liberal and 10 Irish Heatwave. And they're going to be the key to my pick 6. I'm going to use those 2. And then another ticket I'm going to try to spread because I don't have a huge bankroll. So my thoughts on the pick 6 is I'm going to not use a lot of horses early, but then I want to use a lot of horses late. Because if I can beat Becca Taylor and I'm still alive after a single or 2 early on, I don't want to miss this last race. My goodness, I'm going to try to use as many as I can. Because man, if I beat Becca Taylor and then miss it on the last race, I'm just going to be talking to myself for the entire weekend. I'm going to be sick. So I'm going to use as many as I can, but I do want to concentrate on the 2 that I put on my watch list. A number of runners came out of that race that are in this race, including Fly the Sky. For me, Fly the Sky won that race because everybody else got in trouble. So I'm not using Fly the Sky. It's a reverse bet, like an anti watch list because
you weren't there for the wedding, you can't be there for the funeral, right?
Yeah, I'm not going with that one for sure.
Hey, I already had my wedding with that horse, so I'm all good.
If you need some more money for your bankroll, I do have an opening. I need help teaching a Swedish literature class next week.
Good.
So
that's great. We hooked that up. Frontier Market, might come out muscle sore after not racing for like almost over 2 years. And then that race last time was okay, but I don't know if that was just a prep race. I think might need even another race, Frontier Market, to get back to those days where, Frontier Market was running with Chad Brown and so in some big races. So I'm not using that one. Keystone Field did get into a little bit of trouble in that last race, but not as much trouble as Liberal or Irish Heatwave did. I think of the two, Irish Heatwave had the most trouble and should be the biggest price, because if you look at it, the only comment is rough second turn, but most people are going to see that, don't see the replay, and then this horse came in 8th. So I don't think Irish Heatwave is going to get a lot of play, and I think Irish Heatwave took the worst of everything in that race. Had trouble throughout that race, this brutal race, and I think a much improved effort. I expect has some of the stronger thoroughgraph numbers in the race, and I think Irish Heatwave is going to be my top pick, or one of my 2 top picks. The other one, Liberal, man, this one also got stopped when it was starting to make his move. I thought he was going to go by everybody, except, he had to stop a little bit. And at the end of the race was traveling much faster than Keystone Field, was traveling very fast. The problem is this one always comes from behind. And, you look at jockeys, I think Ricky Gonzalez is excellent with front runners. I'm not sold on him on a closer. He seems to get them in trouble. And so, Liberal is certainly going to be coming from way out of it. And it's a big field. Will Ricky get a good trip? He might just find trouble again. So I'm a little scared of Liberal. But the one that had the most problems was Irish Heatwave. And that's the one that I think is going to be my top pick in this race.
All right. Skipper, before I get to you, I'll be interesting to hear what you say, because to me, this is somebody come out of the same race, and this is like all over Spreadsville, but nobody's even mentioned my top play yet. So Go ahead, Skipper.
This I'm going to be spreading in this race. Hopefully I'll be alive, and I just think this race is wide open. This is, I think, by far the toughest race on the card. One that you guys didn't mention that I will be using that's a price is the 6 On a Spree. This horse has won 5 out of 23 on the grass. Brittany Vandenberg claimed it for herself, owner and trainer. She spent it with her own money. And when she claims a horse, she wins 30% of the time. I know it's not at Santa Anita around here, but still, that's a very good percentage. At 20-1, I'm using that horse. It doesn't look like there's a ton of speed.
I was just going to say, who gets the lead? Is it the 1?
No speed.
I got an idea. Go ahead.
I think on my notes, I think it's the 5. I think with Johnny V jumping aboard again, I think he's going. And on my notes, it says sending to the lead, not much speed in the race. I think that's the best shot for the 5 to have, is just gunning out of the lead, getting the lead, and just going with it. I think the 5 makes the lead.
Okay, so that's my top play, is the 5, Exaltation. And if you dig in a little bit deeper here, back in July, this horse of last year ran second by a nose to Evening Sun, who's turned into an absolute monster. And then they ran twice going short, and the horse was semi-dull, but ran against, first of all, Barraza, who was an absolute monster. And Mucho Del Oro came back to win, as a very talented horse as well. Ran against much better company last time. Stretches out. Johnny V comes back. There isn't much speed at all in this race. And I think this horse is going to get a terrific trip, either on the lead or just off. If you go back and watch those last 2 races down the hill, they aren't inspiring. And it is a 7-year-old, which makes me I was loving the horse watching the replay from July 24th last year against Evening Sun. The last 2 were okay, but I do think in a field that's much easier, stretching out with a good trip, he's another guy who puts him in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
This is either to me, I might take a shot singling the 5, or it's a absolute wide open scramble here. So let's go through each person. Last thoughts, and we'll wrap this up. Georgie?
Well, my thoughts in this pick 6 is that it is going to pay well. I mean, really, really well. There's no clear-cut favorites, and the only clear-cut favorite on the morning line is a runner that I'm going to be betting against. So
all 4 of us are pretty much.
All of us, yeah. Right. So I think that definitely is gonna pay well. Well worth investing money into this with that pool going to over $4 million. And even if favorites win along the way, there's, again, no clear-cut favorite. It's going to pay good. Definitely suggest that everybody puts in a wager on this mandatory payout.
Gino?
Yeah, and you want to put in those wagers right now with Express Bet, because now they actually give you the option for using an alternate in your sequence, which is pretty incredible for all of us who have played these multi-race wagers. What's the worst thing is in a sequence where you have a strong opinion, I don't like this favorite, and you're playing against the favorite, and then all of a sudden one of your horses scratched, and you get that horse, and you're I don't want him. I want somebody else, you know, and now having the option for an alternate, which I think you can only do right now with Express Bet, that's pretty incredible. So tomorrow, if you're playing that, hey, just do it from Express Bet, because if you're in the third leg or the fourth leg of the, I don't know, you just want to always have an alternate on your ticket. Put yourself in a great spot, right? So give yourself an opportunity if stuff gets crazy there. So yeah, I love that. And I'm going to be definitely playing there. And this sequence is not easy at all. The key race for me is where I'll probably key in on those two horses in the Irish O'Brien, not Becca Taylor. I'll use a lot of She's Devoted and Eddie's New Dream.
Skipper?
Yeah, you guys. Gino, that was great that you brought up the Express Bet and the alternate. I heard about that today, and I definitely will be playing on that because, like you said, when you got a single or whatever and you're trying to beat the favorite and all of a sudden your horse scratches and you get a favorite, you know, it's just brutal. I mean, you just know you got no shot going. It's like, wow, why don't they have alternates? It drives me crazy. But I will be playing on that. I think this sequence is really good. Usually when there's a big carryover, it seems like more times than not, it doesn't pay very good. I think tomorrow pays good. And I'll be playing it, and I'm excited about it. I did a lot of work like you guys did, and hopefully we'll get lucky.
Well, it was interesting to say the least. We all had some different opinions. I think we all have some different singles, but the most important thing is none of us are singling the most likely winner, or, well, you know, the morning line favorite who's going to be odds on, Becca Taylor, 4 to 5 morning line. So it should make, let's hope for a big day. The pool is expected to exceed $4 million. Everybody jump in, especially on Express Bet. Huge news with the alternates now being able to be used. So, all right, gentlemen, our time is up. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck to everybody. Thanks.
Good luck, guys.
See you guys.